there's this case of this woman. She's actually one of our troops, and her name is Lieutenant Johnson, and she was in Iraq serving the United States military in 2005 when it appears that she was raped and murdered. Now, why do we think she was raped and murdered? There's so much... Okay, look, they find her body. When they find her body, she's been struck in the face with a blunt instrument, perhaps a weapon stock. Her nose was broken, her teeth knocked backwards. One elbow was distended. The back of her clothes had debris on them, indicating she had been dragged from one location to another. The photographs of her destroyed body showed bruises, scratch marks, teeth imprints on the upper part of her body. The right side of her back as well as her right hand had been burned, apparently from a flammable liquid poured on her and then lighted. The photographs of her genital area revealed massive bruising and lacerations. A corrosive liquid had been poured into her genital area, probably to destroy DNA evidence of sexual assault. And you know what they labeled this? The United States military? They labeled it as suicide. What are we? Are we Kazakhstan? Remember the leader of Kazakhstan had his opponents executed? One guy got shot in the head and shot twice in the chest, and they called it a suicide. Did he shoot himself in the chest after he shot himself in the head? But this is just as... I mean, okay, we're not excusing our political opponents, but this woman was clearly assaulted in the worst possible way. Did she knock her own teeth in? Did she light herself on fire? Did she pour that flammable liquid on her own genitalia? Come on, how could you possibly call this a suicide? This is madness, man. And it turns out, of course, there was literally a trail from a military contractor's area of housing to her housing. She had been robed afterwards, they put her clothes on afterwards, and they dragged her to her place and pretended it was a suicide. And people went along with this. This should be an outrage that shakes the country, man. You want to talk about disrespecting the troops? Is that the conversation you want to have? I mean, look at what they did to her. She was 5 feet, 100 pounds. And it appears from the evidence that she fought as hard as she possibly could. Bless her heart. And what do? They call it a suicide. I mean, come on, man. Don't you have any morals, any standards? What kind of a government does this? Why? There was lawlessness in Iraq. The contractors got to do whatever they wanted. They ruled the place. We've told you dozens of cases now. Remember Jamie Lee Jones, who was also brutally gang raped? And then they said, oh, no, it was her fault, and they tried to cover it up. And then we found out there was 12 other cases like that. She was a contractor, an American contractor in Iraq. Her fellow contractors raped her. But this is an actual troop, for a United States troop serving in the military forces. And this is what they did to her. And then they call it a suicide. Man, I'm so angry I can't see straight. When are we going to have justice in this country? So the critical question with this, and with Don Siegelman, and with a lot of these cases, comes back to the same thing. When we lift this rock up and see this rotting corpse of the Bush administration, and all the heinous and unspeakable things that they did, are we ever going to have justice? Is the person who's in charge next going to prosecute any of this stuff? If it's John McCain, you know the answer. No way, no how. It gets covered up, and then 4 years later they say, hey, it's too late now, you're just bringing up old stories. If it's Barack Obama, I do not know the answer. I don't know it. Obama claims that he's going to, in his, if he gets in office, he's going to look into all this stuff. But he's the kind of politician that has, throughout his career, said, hey, you know what, we look towards the future, let's not focus on the past and all the partisan politics of the past, and let's just move forward. We cannot move forward without justice. We just can't do it, man. For Lieutenant Johnson, for Governor Siegelman, for all the people that have been burned by this administration and their crimes that were covered up. It's too much, man. And I hope to God that whoever's president next looks into all these cases and that there's some sort of justice in the world. In the old America that I used to know, this would have been headline news everywhere. People would have been livid about this. And in America today, the media is complicit in covering these stories of, oh, little story, oh, interesting, okay, and then we just move on along. Okay, Did Barack Obama visit the troops in Iraq, or did he visit them in Germany, or did he go to the gym and play basketball instead? That's the kind of nonsense we talk about. Man, it makes me sick.